All right. Welcome to the latest edition of Arguably Decent, the podcast.
Fourth time's a charm.
That's right. This is all it takes. We're figuring this stuff out. It's fun.
One day, we'll be the best at this.
One day. That's my Matashahu.
That was good. I thought it was Robby at first.
Definitely were hustling G there for a second.
I could tell it's curling my hair a little bit on the sides. It's awesome. Hey, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Today is September 23rd on the other side of the international date line, which is awesome for us because for us it is we're wrapping up the 23rd, but you guys on the East Coast, it's just starting for you guys. And we've got a great show today, action-packed with all kinds of great stuff, including our first in-studio guest, Mr. Robby Glass. Woo!
Yeah.
That's right. Robby Glass, the man, the myth, the legend. He's going to be coming on to talk about all kinds of stuff. In particular, he's going to give us the Stanley Cup update, the Cup date.
The Cup date.
All right, but we're kind of behind where we want to be because we were too busy, one, fixing up our little studio here, and number two, screwing up all the software stuff, but I take all the blame on that one. That's totally on
Brad
me.
does all the work, so he has to take all the blame. I can't take any of the blame. I don't do any of the work.
All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to punch up our very first caller today. I'm going to get this bad boy set up, and we are going to call.
Who are we going to call?
We're going to call a Buffalo Bills insider.
Oh, an insider. Led the lines.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when I call him up. 1 second.
Do you think he'll answer your phone call?
Yeah, we'll find out. I don't know how I rate with this guy. At least it's dialing, so I'm paying a phone bill.
Hello.
Hey, we're on the phone with Jerry Rosala. Who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Well, at least you're calling the right place. You're calling Buffalo, New York, the Miami of the North.
Wow, that is quite an accomplishment there. Hi, Jerry. This is Trey.
Hey, Trey. How are you?
Pretty good.
And
Good.
So Trey, it's Trey, myself, and we've got our in-studio guest Robby Glass with us. The pride of Texas is wearing his Dallas Stars sweater right now.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah.
No goal. No goal.
There it is. There it is. That took approximately half a second.
That is excellent. That is great. Way to get that in there. That's right.
21 years later.
The crowd agrees. It may be 21 years later, but people don't forget. That's how it
No,
works.
not over here in Buffalo.
Hey, so we got you on the phone right now because we want to talk a little Buffalo Bills. So Bills had a pretty good week right now, or this past week. In fact, even a good start to the season.
Yeah, going 2-0 was kind of anticipated, but the way we got there definitely was not. But I think it's the maturity of Mr. Allen, and he's not playing hero ball anymore. The last 2 years, what he really wanted to do was take the bull by the horns, and do it by himself. Considering he has the tools right now, he's doing real good. He's spreading it. In fact, even in the game, there were a couple of times where he just stood in the pocket and he didn't run. And one time he even took a sack, which was good because at the time, just don't throw the ball away. So that's impressive. We're happy for Allen. Well, and actually we're happy for the Bills, but we got a good challenge coming up this weekend.
Well, and tell us about this weekend. This weekend we're going to be hosting the Rams. Is that right?
Yeah, the Rams are in, but in the next 4 weeks, as it stands right now, our opponents are going to be also 2-0. So it's because we're playing the Rams, we're playing the Raiders, we're playing the Titans, and then we're going to be playing the Chiefs. So it's really going to be an interesting next 4 weeks. But you know what? We're up to the challenge, and we just hope our two linebackers, or at least one of the two, could come back in with Edmonds and Milano, because that definitely put a hurt on us. But one of the impressive things is we can move the ball around, just like Allen. He had receivers, 8 receivers who caught the ball, and there were 4 separate receivers who caught the touchdown passes. So that's pretty good. But one thing we have to improve on is the third quarter. It seems like we start off in the first two games very, very slow. Like maybe we got the game in hand or we just take things for granted. But I think if we want to continue to win, especially against the good teams, we got to pick up our third quarter, momentum and get something going, especially if we're going to be receiving the ball.
Yeah,
So
we got to play that full game.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't take the fourth quarter off.
No, but we're getting there, and it's baby steps. Going back in the day, I know with Brad, we used to go to the Bills games back in the 90s when the Bills were at their peak, and you took so much for granted. Even when they won, you would complain because you figured they had to kill the team. But right about now, even to use Al Davis's terminology, just win, baby. That's all you got to do. I don't care if we win by 1 or we win by 20. It doesn't really matter. A W is a W.
It's really interesting that Trey's the one who came in here and talked about needing to play well in the fourth quarter. He's from Georgia.
Well, somebody's got to be from there.
History repeated itself this week.
Oh, are we talking about that already?
Cowboys, man, they took it over this week.
Wow. No, they didn't actually. I don't know if you watched that game, but the Cowboys led for 0 seconds.
Oh, yeah, because they kicked the field goal.
That's right, because the game ended.
But when the time was over, they had the most, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's technically true.
Are you trying to say his foot was in the crease again?
I think the Falcons were just practicing for the Super Bowl.
Well, that's great.
Well, considering Atlanta, they got a good team that they just can't seem to finish it. Even that Super Bowl, for crying out loud, good Lordy, they got a good team. They should put it together. And when I was watching the Bills game on Sunday, and then, I was looking at the crawl and they said Atlanta is winning. I go, good, because I'm not really a Dallas fan. But on the other hand, I go, well, they got it in hand. But then all of a sudden, I saw the final score, and I couldn't believe it.
It was kind of ridiculous. They played great in the beginning. They got scored on a few times when maybe they shouldn't have. They dropped a few open passes, but they were cruising along the whole way, looking good. Doing the best with what they had. I don't think Julio had a lot of catches, but Calvin Ridley stepped up and had a ton. So they just looked good, and then in the end, they just kind of slowly let it slip away. And that onside kick was a killer.
Well, it's really funny. We're talking about, let's go and get the teams going. It's not that we have 2 games remaining in a season. We've only played 2 games.
Yeah.
You got to take it easy. It's a long stretch, and anything can happen. So it's going to prove to be interesting, and hopefully, with this COVID, they can finish this season, because I can envision some teams going 8-0, like the Bills, and then all of a sudden, the season is ended, or put on hold or suspended, So hopefully that's not the case, but who knows what'll happen.
Well, hopefully they come up big at home, and hopefully the non-fans. Hey, speaking of the non-fans, are there going to be letting anybody else in the stadium at all? I know that some of the stadiums have let people in. What's going on at Bill Stadium?
No, at Bill Stadium, they said going back a while ago that the first 2 games would be fan-free, but there was waiting to see exactly how the state is faring in terms of COVID. And there's a big push to get people coming in. And for the following games. And the next home game would be on a Thursday night game against the Chiefs. So hopefully that would be a good one, to start letting the people in. But conversely, that's only going to be 15 to maybe 18,000 people. But we'll take it. That's better than none.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if there's going to be people anywhere around the stadium parking in people's driveways and parking lots, the satellite lots, as they like to say, and pre-gaming, jumping on flaming tables and all that kind of stuff that the Bills Mafia tends to do.
They're very
Orchard Park, New York is of course, a suburb of Buffalo, and already their legislators have indicated that there will be no tailgating in any lot, any Bills lot or satellite lots. So that's really, they put a kibosh to that. But on the other side, the local establishments have been seeing an increase in business on those 2 weekends because everybody's flocking in. So
Yeah.
at least they're getting something positive out of it.
I wonder how they're going to enforce that lack of tailgating thing. I mean, it just seems like it'll be tough for them with all those people who are wanting to be around the game and wander around. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, "Hey, no tailgating." It's like, no, I'm walking by, man. I'm going over here. I just brought a table and a grill and some hot dogs with me.
But I always walk around with a table with me. Even when I go to the local mall, just in case I get tired.
And when he doesn't have his table, he at least has his hot dogs.
Nice.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of room around that stadium in terms of empty property, and people could tailgate. But they do have the police out there, and unfortunately, they are putting that into effect. So again, people are still having big time house parties, though. There's no two ways about that.
Nice.
Plus, the local bars are getting a good share of the business, so that's good in one respect.
Well, hey, Dad, what is your go-to for pizza and for wings for the games?
Oh, Joey's.
Joey's Pizza?
Right down the block. Yep.
So when I grew up back home, the places that we used to always go to aren't even around anymore.
You're that old. You
best-
close them down.
Oh, yeah. So the best place for wings back there was the Elbow Room. And
Oh, yes.
And then there was the best place for pizza was Sergeant Pepperoni's.
Yep.
And just ask.
Chickens.
Yeah, you could just ask my mom how great it was, because she would say that my dad would go out for chicken wings and come back 4 hours later, and the wings were still hot. So.
Well, yeah. Well, that's. Well, there was a local establishment called My Father's Place, and then when we first moved in here, and that was even prior. Well, Brad was just a little one, so he didn't realize. And so my wife didn't realize about My Father's Place, and some of my friends didn't know about it either. So I said, listen, we're just going to go to his father's place. Okay. So we went to the bar and had a good time. It was a beautiful, beautiful scenario. Never got in trouble.
Never. That's awesome.
Well, what are you going to do? But yeah, we got our food, so everybody stocks up on the chicken wings and the pizza, which is really noted here in the Western New York area. But we're just thrilled. And by the way, even though we don't have baseball, but the Yankees are here in town, playing the Blue Jays. It's really nice, but unfortunately, we can't go see them. So that's kind of crazy.
I saw some footage where people were actually lined up, and maybe it was just the first game, where they were lined up on the grass over there by the thruway.
Oh, yeah, they were going up on the 90, but then what happened, the state police came and they shoot everybody away because that was the only place you could, peek in, into the stadium. But they have since covered that up and people can't do that anymore.
Hey, Dad, we got you for about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to get our Ravens recap right after this. So I got
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got a late start today. Again, I was messing around with the software. I still have to get back to doing this. I'll spend some time on it tomorrow, but it kind of got. I spent way more time on it.
Well, give me the Dallas perspective going to the finals. I mean, series. Did they win last night?
They did not. They decided that they wanted to.
You got to get it in the microphone so we can actually hear you.
So
This is Robby Glass, the Stanley Cup expert here.
So yeah.
All right, Robbie.
We took game one with rather handily. Had a really good matchup, and won it 4-1 on the back of two defensive goals from defensemen there. And
is that where defensive goals come from?
Yeah, that's what defensive. I mean, I guess they could come from defending. But so then, game two came along, and we decided to spot Tampa Bay a 3-0 lead just to make it a little more exciting. And we came really close, so we started pushing, ended up getting it to 3-2, and couldn't quite get that last goal. So now the series is 1-1, but game 3 is tomorrow, and I've got high hopes that we're going to bounce back. We've got the hottest goaltender in the league right now, just killing it. And
So he's attractive, you're saying?
Oh, yeah, he's super attractive. The Kazakhstani Scorpion is just yum.
It's very nice. He shows his crumb.
So, yeah, so it's good. 21 years since we've been, 20 years since we've been to the finals, but 21 years since we've won. We did make it back in 2000, and Jason Arnott broke my little 13-year-old heart. It's awful. But,
well, I tell you what, I'm glad they're in there because Dallas is a pretty good sports town. And to keep the NHL thriving, you need to spread it around the country a little bit. And but I wish him well. It's going to be a tough series, though.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's Dallas and Buffalo go way back. It's not just the Stars and the Sabres. The Cowboys and the Bills had their battles.
All right, that's all we need from Robby. We'll talk to you later, buddy, and thanks for stopping by.
Oh, wait, so after the foot in the crease comment, I don't get to start rubbing things in? I don't know about that.
Going back 2 years ago, we went to visit Brad's aunt over in San Antonio. We took a drive over to Dallas because I wanted to see AT&T. But that's a beautiful palace. I wouldn't even call it a football stadium, but it's something else.
Yeah,
so what I was really intrigued about was the baseball stadium that they were constructing next to the present one, the Dome Stadium. And it was like, wow. I mean, the existing stadium was beautiful. But what was the reason for building a new one?
I really don't know. I do not follow baseball. I assume it's probably something to do with money and the city giving them a bunch of it. And so that's why they moved it from, Arlington to Arlington 2.0.
He doesn't follow baseball because Dallas doesn't have a team that could beat Buffalo's team because Buffalo doesn't have a team either. That's why he doesn't follow it.
Yeah, no, I watched the Rangers basically twice in my life. They were in the World Series and lost both times. So you're all welcome for me watching them.
Awesome. Hey, Dad, real quick, we've got the standings pulled up for the NFL right now. And while we got you for the next few minutes, Arizona on NFC West, you got Arizona, the Seahawks, and the Rams all tied at 2-0 with the 49ers at 1-1. Who do you see coming out of that division at the end of the year? Who's looking the strongest to you so far?
Ooh, I'm thinking with the injuries that just happened to the 49ers, I'm going to lean towards the Cardinals. And I think they're going to take it. Yeah, again, it's so early, but with Boza out for the whole year and they had another injury, I forget exactly to who it was, and I think that was also on the defensive side. So I'm saying Arizona.
Well, then moving on to the South, you've got the Saints and the Bucks. They're tied at 1-1. Atop the division, and the Panthers and the Falcons are sitting there with goose eggs at 0-2. How does that look at shaking out for you? You think that's going to be more of a Drew Brees or more of a Tom Brady division?
Well, I think it's going to be Brees. The Brady deal, I think it's a little bit overblown. Unfortunately, I think the Saints have the better of the team. They got the momentum. And I think they're going to take it. It's not going to be by a lot, but I think they're going to prevail through the 16-game season.
But here's the really pressing question there. Should fantasy owners keep Tom Brady, or should they dump him for a better quarterback? That's
a very good question. If he starts going to Evans, he could – and if Gronkowski starts coming back to where he was in his peak, he could do good. But I would not. I'd take a different quarterback.
Well, that's why I have Patrick Mahomes, so I'm doing okay. Hey, let's move up to the NFC North. We got about 4 minutes with you, Dad. We got the Bears and the Packers undefeated at 2-0, and the Vikings and Detroit both at 0-2. Surprisingly, what do you think about?
Well, I got to go with the Packers because I think the quarterback for the Bears is just playing under pressure, and people will get to him. But I still think what will happen is that the Packers are going to prevail.
All right, let's go to the East. You've got the Redskins, well, the Washington football team now.
Whoa.
You got Washington and the Cowboys at 1-1, and the Eagles and Giants at 0-2.
Well, Jerry Jones pays for everything, and that's why he wants to keep Dallas in that division so they can win with a 4-12 record.
Hey, we do what we can.
You know, hey, you know the interesting thing though this year, there is going to be an extra team from each conference that makes it into the playoffs this year. So it's possible there could be a team that's got a serious losing record over there. No, hey, let's move over to the AFC. We'll start with the AFC North. We got the Ravens and Steelers at 2-0, and the Browns and Bengals, both of them looking okay, but the Browns are at 1-1, and the Bengals are 0-2 with their rookie quarterback Joe Burrow.
Well, you have to go with the Ravens. I can't see anybody pushing them out. And the only thing that would force the Ravens out is an injury to their quarterback. And aside from that, you got to go with the Ravens.
All right, let's go to the West. A pretty tough division. Well, one team's looking good. One team looks like they've got promise. Kansas City, 2-0. Las Vegas Raiders, 2-0. The Chargers are at 1-1, and the Broncos are 0-2.
Well, you got to go. You got to go with the Chiefs again. Watching TV for the period of time, and you're saying, "Well, the Chiefs are down." It's just like the old Patriots. All of a sudden, they come back, and that's how I feel like the Bills could be this year. But it seems like the Chiefs, they always find a way. If they could stay injury free, you got to go with them.
Okay, let's go to the South. You've got the Titans standing alone at 2-0. The Jags and the Colts tied at 1-1, and Houston 0-2.
Well, I would say the Titans, to be honest with you, but boy, surprisingly, the Jags are playing pretty good, and they could squeak something in. But right now, you got to go with the Titans.
All right, let's go to the most exciting division in all of Buffalo, the AFC East.
Well, prior to Cam Newton, I would say Buffalo was going to be a lock. But if Newton continues to play and show that he is not, a has-been, but his arm is good, his legs are good, could be the Patriots in second place, and I think they're going to remain in second place as the Bills will do it.
All right. Hey, Dad, before we let you go, let's get a prediction for this week's game. We've got the Bills and the Rams. What do you got?
I'm going to say the Bills by 3.
So 72-69.
Oh, no, let's not go that high. I think it's going to be 27-24, Buffalo.
27-24. That is the prediction. Well, hey, thanks for making time available for us. It is early in the East Coast right now. It's crumbing up. Easy for me to say. Coming up on 6:30 in the morning, where it's 8:30 for us, and we are enjoying fermented beverages while you you could. You're living that good retirement
It's
life.
2020 COVID time. It is 5 o'clock all the time.
You do what you want.
That's right.
Hey, gentlemen, have a great day, and it was a pleasure.
All right. Hey, thanks for being on the show. Dad, love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
All right, that was my dad, the Buffalo Bills outsider, the official Buffalo Bills outsider of the show, and it was great to have him. Now, Robbie, we were going to fit you in for this segment, but now we got to make a call for our Ravens recap. So we can get you after this? Can we move into that? Because I think we actually kind of hit it a little bit during that last call. All right, so we're going to call this guy. He is our Ravens insider. He goes by the name C-Pod.
This is his gang sign here. I hope he has a good voicemail.
No kidding.
Hello, this is Chris.
I got a whole lot of nothing. I'm going to have to send him a message, but I know we've got him. We'll work on him and getting him back. In the meantime,
Must be drinking with Lamar Jackson or something.
Actually, no, they're doing an after practice reading program.
Oh, okay.
Reading is fundamental.
Well, being able to read the field and pass downfield probably helps too.
It's definitely fundamental.
Okay.
If you're just more athletic than everyone else, I don't think you have to read the field. I think you can just run around them.
That would be cool, but you know what? The only thing is that I've never experienced that in my life yet.
Being faster than everybody.
Yeah, you got to play against like 12-year-olds when you're in your like mid-20s.
Yeah, you should come out to Ultimate sometimes. We're really good at that.
Yeah, it happens. It's good.
Trey and I look really athletic out there.
Okay, I'm just setting this stuff up for our next caller. Hey, tell me a little bit about Ultimate. You guys were having a season, the league, and all kinds of cool stuff, and you were mentioning it a little bit before we got on the show. You were talking about playing in different locations and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we, because of COVID, we actually had a huge interest in Ultimate recently. So we had so many people at random pickup days that we just decided, hey, let's have a league. So we did a little beach league. We had a little no COVID break in the middle, but we played 3 games, took a 3-week break, and then played three more games. Well, I guess the last week is this Thursday, tomorrow. We'll have the finals down there at the beach. Robby's team won 0 games during the regular season, but is now in the finals. That's why we play the games.
That's important. That is important.
All you got to do is make it to the playoffs, man.
Yeah, playoffs. We're not talking about practice.
Playoffs? Practice? Talking practice?
But yeah, I mean, hopefully once some of the travel stuff gets a little easier, we'll be heading off into the all over the Asia doing the Ultimate. I was trying to think of something funny to say, and I couldn't. It's the worst.
I can tell.
All over the Asia.
Yeah. That's a secret. Maybe I shouldn't even tell you guys, but this will probably get lost in the annals of the AD podcast. Whenever I want to say something, that was a joke. I don't know if you got it. But whenever I forget what I'm gonna say, I just try and talk like an old person, put the in front of stuff.
The
And it makes,
YouTubes.
yeah, the YouTubes, the Ultimates, the Asia. Makes it sound funny. It's a pretty easy thing to remember.
Hey, I've got the ringer off, but he called us back, so I'm going to ring him back again.
He's making fun of us for not having a good voicemail.
That's all right. Let's see if we can get C-Pod.
C-Pod?
Hey, good morning. Is this C-Pod?
Hello there.
Oh, it is. We've
This
got
is
him.
C-Pod.
We've got C-Pod, the pride of the I don't even know what you're the pride of. You're the pride of the Pride movement for sure, but definitely I think you're also a big part of the Maryland, Virginia, DC Beltway gang kind of football crew. But somehow you're not a Washington fan. You are the official outsider for the Baltimore Ravens.
I am. I'm the pony boy.
Stay golden.
Of the city. Pony boy, yeah. So, and I'm the pride of the pride. And it's funny you mention that because my nickname is also Calico. I'm all that.
And a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips.
Well, you're on the Arguably Decent podcast that you got me, Brad, and you've got Trey, and
Heyo.
in studio we've also got Robby Green.
We don't have Robby Green.
He's wearing Robby Green sweater right now. It's Robby Glass, but he's wearing a green sweater because he's cheering for the Dallas Stars. It's so hard because I confuse these guys all the time because they look
Interesting enough,
identical.
We have like 3 friends named Robby. It's weird.
Between the two of them, they have a six-pack.
It's an impersonator.
I've got
I like
5
that.
of those.
Yeah.
Oh, Robby Green, the other RG, without the 3.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is true.
Does that guy still play football?
Oh, yeah. He's with the
Guess who he
Ravens.
plays for?
Huh?
Ravens.
Yeah, that's why we got the official Baltimore Ravens outsider. Hey, so Ravens had a pretty good week this week,
Unofficial.
and they're looking pretty good this season.
Yes. That's true. That is true. The numbers are down slightly on the yards, I want to say, but that's okay because the defense is stepping up and doing their thing. Either way, we don't care if we get it on the front end or the back end. We'll take it.
Just get it on whatever end you can get.
That's right. That's what we always say. On the end, on the front, to the side, above you, below you.
When they're not looking, wherever.
Know you.
To the windows.
Yeah.
To the walls.
I love it. Hey, so last year you guys had a really strong season, made your way into the playoffs, and how did that go?
Oh, well, actually, I don't know.
You
Just kidding. Okay, so, yeah, we ended up getting that far, and then we did what we call a repeat here. But we're not talking about what we didn't do or what we should have done or could have done because we're not doing a three-peat, you see.
A three-peat?
A three-peat.
Oh,
in other words,
there's
we're
three
not gonna
peats
do
on
it
a team.
3 times.
well, that's not too
Yeah,
bad.
We're just going to do it those 2 times, and then now going forward, we're just going to go to the Super Bowl and win that, and then that'll be that. And, hey, our boy's 23. So
23 and me.
pretty young and exciting.
Well, it would be exciting if the Ravens made it to the Super Bowl this year. And plus, you said you had a lot of people stepping up on defense. Who's going to step up and take Ray Lewis's role in the limo this year if you make it to the Super Bowl?
That's a great question. My vote has to go to my buddy Jimmy Smith, number 22, or as I like to say, Ventados. And basically, he is the man. He's been with us a long time. He's a veteran. He was there in the last Super Bowl. He's the man. He's the leader.
And more importantly, who's really going to step in the Campbell Soup Bowl commercials?
Did you get that?
Did you hear that?
Robbie
Did
was
the mic-
asking about who's going to be in the Campbell Soup Bowl commercials this year for the Ravens.
Oh. Well, I'm hoping they pick me.
Well, that sounds like a good
We're just
good
on
substitute.
that. I need votes.
You need votes.
I hear there's
I
an
need
election
votes.
coming up.
And I like to get on the Wheaties box also. I want to do that with Caitlyn Jenner.
Which version?
No, it doesn't matter. Well, Caitlyn would be the
Front end or the back end?
The most recent. Yeah, I don't want Caitlyn to have to switch back just for me and go, Bruce and then Caitlyn. But maybe they could do some photoshopping things on that one.
That's
yeah.
excellent.
Speaking of switch hitters, how are the Orioles?
The Orioles are doing good, except for last night. They did not have too much fun, I think, in Boston.
Well, I haven't watched any
Yeah.
baseball since this whole COVID
Since
thing
Cal
began.
Ripken Jr. left the Orioles, I haven't watched any baseball.
You missed a few hits.
Okay.
Was that Roberto Alomar who was playing for the Orioles way back?
Yeah. So far they are they're still there, but they could do better, and I'm sure they admit that. So we'll see what happens. You got to wonder what the players' mentality is now with no fans in the stadium, and then you've got the noise piped in, and some will probably rise to the occasion, and say, hey, this is a lot less pressure. Some will probably sit there and they feed off of it. They need it, and they won't perform, I think.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys have probably not played in front of that few people since maybe like middle school. I mean, a lot of those guys were already like crushing balls, and their parents were, bringing all the friends. Come watch little Jimmy play.
C-Pod knows all about crushing balls.
Yeah.
Hey, so
Oh yeah.
by
Yeah,
the way,
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the Ravens coming up for this next week. Now they're 2-0, and they're going up against another 2-0 team, 2 of the hottest quarterbacks in the league. You've got Patrick Mahomes and the Baltimore Ravens' Lamar Jackson. So you might not know, but this game on our schedule says this game is being played on Tuesday, September 29th at 10:15 a.m. That's what time it's going to be here in Saipan. So for you guys, though, that's going to be Monday Night Football. So what do you have going in? What do you think is going to happen for this massive home game for the Ravens against the Chiefs?
Well, that's a good question there too. It's prime time, baby, and you wouldn't have picked the teams to play on prime time. Well, sometimes they get it wrong, but this time I think they got it right. They're saying that that's a potential championship game. Well, we've seen that before. Potentially, it didn't happen. However, I think that you got two quarterbacks that have very similar styles, but very different styles as well. So I think you're going to see a lot of action. In fact, I like the name Lamar Action Jackson just because he is there. And I think that Kansas City is in for a long day and possibly in trouble if they don't watch out what they're doing and they don't hit all their marks. I think the team obviously that executes, makes little to no mistakes, and can think on the fly will take that game, of course. I know that sounds kind of profound, but I believe that these teams seen each other a couple times before. They know what to expect, and I think it's going to be an excellent game. But I think Ravens win it. I want to say it's going to be 35-31. Ravens.
35-31
Wow.
Ravens. Not even giving Tucker a chance for a field goal.
That's right. Well, there could be if there's like a safety. Could be two safeties. It could be all kinds of stuff. You just don't know nowadays. I'm waiting for them to invent points to score.
That's the XFL.
Yeah. The XFL.
I feel like I scored a touchdown there. Add 7 to the board.
At least give me 2 out of 3 or 4 out of 5. I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
Now the Ravens are the last game of the week next week, but the action gets started in just a couple of days from now for us, where the massively amazing Miami Dolphins at 0-2 are going to be taking on the Jaguars. The Battle of Florida.
Florida man calling in.
That's the Thursday night game right there. Anything could happen. They might be having tattoos up in the press box. You could do anything that you want to do. Who do you got in that game?
Well, I tell you, Miami is one of those teams that they can lose all year long, and then all of a sudden, boom, they go ahead and upset somebody.
It's magic.
Don't forget, it is, and don't forget that field, if it gets rained on, wet, whatever, it turns into the sloppiest mud zone I've ever seen, even played on as a kid. I've never played on a field that nasty. So they got to get some drainage situation going
Dolphins
on
like it wet. Dolphins like it wet, C-Pod.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they play okay in it too. But when you kick a ball off and it doesn't bounce, it just goes in the mud. It looks kind of weird.
Hey,
and it's hard to pick up.
Speaking of sloppy mud zones, let's talk about Odell Beckham. They're playing against the Washington football team in Cleveland. They're both at 1-1. Who do you got in that matchup?
Well, he's due for a win. So I feel for Mr. Beckham. Odell, that is. I don't want to get Beckham's confused here.
He got a lot of interesting press this week. Were you following that?
Me?
Yeah. Did you follow what was going on? All the talk in the town about Odell Beckham this past week?
I have not, because I cannot get into gossip. I don't watch.
No, this is exactly why. I said sloppy mud zones, because there was a guy online who said that he knew a girl who said that Odell Beckham likes to be defecated
on the chest,
and it's perfect that he plays for Cleveland, home of the Cleveland Steamers.
Wasn't that in Team America?
No, I've seen Team America. I don't remember that scene.
Oh, you know what? You don't have the unedited version. I'll send it to you guys.
Yeah, we watched it on TBS.
Oh, that's right.
It was right after the Braves game.
It's about 2 minutes long.
Yeah, you're going to need to get the unedited version, and
they've got it playing on.
Where Odell.
They've got it playing on Thanksgiving, just like they do a Christmas Story for on a loop for Christmas. We've got Team America, the edited version on Thanksgiving. So the unedited version, wow, okay. So who do you think you got?
Yeah.
Washington Browns in Cleveland?
I I have to probably go with the Browns only because that's where the Ravens came from. That's their birthplace, and so the Browns are due for a win in this particular case. Washington has a lot of stuff surrounding them, unfortunately, with their owner and obviously some of the what they refer to as unfair treatment and good old boy network and whatever you want to call that there in the office. They got their name taken from them, forcibly because, the owner wasn't rich enough to stand up to the sponsors. So he had to cave because money did that. And he's got to be angry. He wants to win. But, angry don't get you the win. You got to use your head. So, yeah, I'm afraid that team's going to implode a little more before they can explode out on the field.
All right, now you picked the Browns because you said that's where Baltimore came from. Let's talk about the team that left Baltimore. You've got the Jets playing at the Colts.
So I think that's going to be an interesting game because you really don't know what's going to happen there. Both teams have some stars in there. They can play, they can step up, but sometimes they don't. I would probably have to side with the Colts. And I don't fault, that team for leaving in the middle of the night over there at whatever Stevenson's College, now Village Ole, I believe it is. The old Mayflower trucks
Middle of
came
the
up
night.
and took them out, so on and so forth, middle of the night, because you got to understand that stadium was literally falling to pieces. It was falling down on people, and the city wouldn't put the money back into it. And so really it was a government piece on that, kind of political. And the owner said, hey, you gotta help me out here. We got a real good thing. You can build this together, and do this and that. And they said, nope, you're on your own, use your own money. And back then, I don't think they made as much as they make now. They couldn't afford to build all these, lavish stadiums like they do. And so they said, fine, you know what? We're going to move our team to a place that is going to actually have stadium to play at, and, and so on and so forth. So it really wasn't, it was more of a political move. And, that's a government piece over there, local government, that is. So, yeah, I don't fault them for that at all. But I do not like the fact that they did take the statistics. So if you do visit the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is a good recommendation, they took all the stats. So the Ravens don't get any stats. They're a brand new team, 1996, going forward, fresh and clean. So
No kidding. Well, that's pretty cool because after Cleveland lost their team, the NFL stepped up right away and said, look, you guys do have a lot of history, so we are going to promise that you will get a team. But they didn't get a team back until, I think it was 1999. Is that right?
Got a team in 96, but they had to do some exhibitions prior to that just to show they could even fill a stadium. And they had to go back and end up playing at the old Memorial Stadium for the first couple of games. So, but that was a cool thing because you've got somebody like Johnny U, who ended up going there for sort of that inaugural game and kind of having a warm handoff between, hey, what was the Baltimore Colts, now the Baltimore Ravens. And I thought that was just fantastic of him to do.
Okay, so Mistake on the Lake, by the way, that is Cleveland. So I think Cleveland got their team in 99, and then 96 is like when you started in Baltimore. And you guys got the ball started pretty good, and you even had the Cleveland history with you, with Ozzie Newsome as your general manager, who turned out to be one of the best GMs in the whole league.
Yeah, and one of the other things I wanted to point out is that when the Browns, or Ravens now, left there, it wasn't covert. It wasn't anything. It was, hey, we're going to do this. We need to move on, so on and so forth. We're going to leave you everything. Stadium, you got your colors, you got your stats, you got everything. We're just going to take every single player and pretty much the staff, and you guys can build from there. So I thought that was at least something, a step up, too. So.
Well, sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could run down every single game one by one. It would probably take us for a little bit. But let me ask you this, a couple things about the league this year. So, yeah, aside from your Ravens, of course, what team has surprised you the most? Or let me ask a different question. We'll get to that one. But who do you think is like the most exciting team in the league aside from your team?
Yeah, well, I got to go with Kansas City. I got to go with Kansas City. I can throw Houston in there, which we recently played because I think they're kind of getting the short end there. But they still got time to come alive and prove something. So yeah, I'd pretty much say those two teams are exciting to watch. They're good teams. They've got good quarterbacks. They got something new. It's not your standard. This down we do a running play. This down we go ahead and do a short passing play. This down we go to the tight end. This down we end up sending into the end zone. It's all different. From throw set, skill, style, run, just everything with the game. The fundamentals and the way the game normally functions, it's different now. And it's because of these young quarterbacks. It's because they're the ones saying, this is how I want to play the game. And you know what? The coaches are allowing it to happen. So good for them.
How about your most disappointing team this year? Someone who you thought was going to do a lot better and coming out and laying an egg.
Well, we got a couple of them out there. I don't want to put them down, but let's say obviously Miami's got some room for improvement. You mentioned Washington, which they clearly got some hurdles to overcome. You want to see every team kind of thrive, but let's face it, folks. Between a game with two teams, there can be only one winner. I think Highlander mentioned something like that in the movie once. There could be only one.
I wish I remembered the theme song better. I really want to sing it right now.
Who wants to live forever?
Who wants to live forever? Yeah. Who does? I don't.
Oh.
And on Mondays, it makes it even difficult.
Right. Well, hey, just a couple quick hits. What do you think of this Joe Burrow kid playing for Cincinnati? Well,
Cincinnati's a competitor, so I hope that he doesn't do good.
Well, they had a hell of a game with the Browns this past week.
Yep. The fan in me wants to, obviously not the fan, but the football fan in me wants to see him do good. And again, some good things there. We just got to keep watching. We got to keep evolving. Again, fellas, we're on 2 games now in the season, but it doesn't feel completely normal, but it's starting to feel a little more normal than things have been for the past several months, I have to admit.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I mean, that sounds like a pretty solid report from the Ravens outsider, C-Pod.
C-Pod?
What do you say, C-Pod? We'll give you a ring again next week. Find out what happened to the Chiefs and the Ravens. See if your 35-31 Ravens prediction comes in.
Recapping. I'm in.
All right. Well, we'll reach back out to you. Hey, everybody, that is C-Pod from Baltimore. Let's give him a round of applause. Thanks for making it out to our podcast in Saipan, your Pacific home for sports coverage.
And other stuff.
And other stuff for kids who want to read good and do other stuff good, too.
It needs to be at least 3 times bigger.
There must be something more to life than being really, 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 really good looking. Well, we'll find it. We'll find it. All right, C-Pod, thanks so much for being on the show with us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks again for having me.
Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Have a good one, guys.
You too.
Right.
All right, everybody. That was C-Pod. I don't know what the C stands for or the pod stands for, but anyone who goes by C-Pod podcast, that's a guy we got to have.
Yeah. He's like our kindred spirit. Maybe he's our mascot. I don't even know.
Hey, I want to have something new to the show. Something more like Saipan focused, because that's where we are. That's where we're broadcasting from, the island of Saipan out here in the middle of the Pacific. talk about different products and all that stuff or whatever, stuff that's here. And so today we started off the show, pre-show, with some nice pizza from Godfather's. Now, Godfather's, for my...
Was that really from Godfather's?
That was really Godfather's pizza.
Oh, it tasted a little different. Put toppings on it. It's crazy.
So I usually only get pepperoni.
So we get pepperoni a lot.
That's the only topping pizza I
They're
get.
out of pepperoni the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's not just them. It's the whole island of Saipan. Even their suppliers, they cannot get pepperoni.
We need to fly in an Italian. He'll find some.
Now they got. Look, the guy's name is Dottino. Where do you think he comes from?
He's New York, I think. It's different.
Definitely not Italian, right? Come on. Hey, so they said that they actually found turkey pepperoni, but they have to just throw that crap out because it's supposed to be healthier. Yeah, it might be healthier, but it's also like awful.
Yeah, turkey bacon, I know for a fact, is not good.
It is terrible. The best thing you could do with turkey bacon is buy it and then throw it out.
No, I got a better idea. You know what it's better to do with it? Is to feed it to vegans.
Oh, torture. Well, we started off.
No, it's not torture. It's good for them. It's good for us.
Vegans don't like turkey?
Yeah.
They can eat turkey?
No, did you say it's furky? Tofurkey? But it's really regular turkey. Tofurkaken?
You're walking a fine line. That's a slippery slope. Getting really close to, like, if you keep on that track, we just tell them it's something else. Next thing you know, you're going to be Bill Cosbying people.
So I was near the line, and you just friggin' long jumped over it to the other side. That was nice.
It just puts a whole new spin on, like, the Fat Albert shows and stuff like that.
Oh,
you know?
my God.
Just think of the theme song. It's like,
I mean,
I got a brand new song for you now. Give it to the gang. Wait until they pass out, and then you do their thing. Nah, she's not gonna have a good time.
oh, man. I hadn't even thought about that. I just thought about, like, the Jell-O commercials. J-E-L-O.
Put the pills in the people.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, so I wanted to have a better transition to what I was going to do.
I think that's our trademark is that really we just do random stuff. And then we're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we were supposed to talk about this. Let's just do that.
Are you about to talk about Ed Probst? Because you've been talking a lot about...
Oh,
No,
my God.
We got to...
That is not where I was going to go.
Oh, this is Brad's, not Ed.
Hey, thanks for being on this show, talking about great things for Dallas and things with Malice. Hey, okay, so we'll change. We'll move on to another spicy topic right here. We'll keep it snappy.
Girls.
All right.
Oh, no, spicy.
So
Girls.
I was out, and in the morning there's girls. Yeah, little Beastie Boys. All right, so out getting gas, Shell stations. You've got. You know, it's weird because all the Shell stations, they're owned by operated by a couple of different companies. One of them has some ginger snaps.
Well, yeah, they do. I was going to say they have the best beer on island, but we can talk about that later.
They do have the best beer. Well, you know, but somehow they do. Well, first of all, I have so much of this crap beer that we talked about before that I can't buy it anymore. I can't buy any good beer until I'm done with this stuff. But when I was in there getting gas today, I almost bought like some bottles for us to hang out with. But instead, I thought of introducing something else to the show where we try something local.
Local taste test.
Local taste test. These are Saipan Snaps. Now, here's the original Saipan Snaps. Now, and here is Saipan Snaps.
Spicy.
The ginger. These are Sweet Heat
Sweet
Saipan
Heat,
Snaps.
that's what it's called.
So let's see what they are. They are ginger snap cookies, and they're made with local ginger. And the cookies are made here in Saipan, and they've got Saipan ginger. And the Sweet Heat, not only that, it also has local ginger and hot peppers.
Oh,
I say
tangy in action there, maybe.
before we burn our faces off with those cookies, I haven't tried them yet. I say we open these bad boys up and give a little taste test.
Wow, these are multilingual. We got some Korean, some Japanese, some Chinese, and Russian. Well, OG throwback.
It's good cookies. Make me want to share with
Let's see. They got some really nice packaging. I really like that. Like sweet island vibe.
It's definitely not getting killed by the overhead lighting that we've got.
Yeah, you could probably see that.
No glare at all.
Yeah. We'll get one of those fancy umbrella lights later. Holy, I messed that up.
Good job.
Just need one of those
There we go.
the
You want me to feed it to you?
shades for you.
No, not that I'm against any of that. Here, Robbie, you can have one too. That's not Robbie Green, by the way.
No.
All right, so let's give it a shot.
Robbie Green shirt.
Oh, these are great. I like them. If you
Ginger.
you could definitely taste the ginger. If you've ever had ginger snaps, these are actually better. And for me, ginger snaps goes back to when I was a kid, spending weekends at my grandma's house, and she would always have those in the cookie jar, and I would always go and grab some of those. And but these are made here in Saipan, which is pretty sweet.
They only have 1 gram of fat.
I've got a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in something about these cookies, Saipan Snaps is what they're called. SaipanSnaps@gmail.com. SaipanSnaps@gmail.com. And their phone number is 287-9395. So maybe you want to order some.
Yeah.
You probably get them at the Shell stations, especially the one at the Shell Highway Express on Middle Road.
Or the Puerto Rico one. That's my favorite Shell station.
Oh, man.
They have them there for sure.
So they're great. They have all kinds of stuff. They have great cheeses, too.
They do. I bet they will ship you these to the mainland. I don't know that for a fact, but I bet if you, if you had just finished giving us the Ravens update or the Bills update, that you could get some there if you called or emailed this number and asked them nicely to ship you some.
How's the smell?
I'm gonna go. So I just opened up the Sweet Heat Saipan Snaps.
Sweet heat.
You can see they're $2.70, and
Ooh.
and these are things you can also. By the way, they're great gift items if you want to send stuff to folks in the States. You could definitely smell the pepper. Oh yeah, readjust, refocus, camera.
No, I thought you did a really great job of getting it to focus on the
Okay.
packaging, but it took
There
a
we go.
long time for it to come back.
To come
fast.
back, yeah, we'll do a camera review session on another episode. All right, so let's go. Let's crank it up a bit. Let's emerald this bitch. All right, bam, sweet heat. I have never had a cookie with hot pepper, but let's find out. Okay, so far, still good. Kind of like the first cookie already.
Yeah. Starts out slow. It's not a fast heat.
It starts to build. It might be like an accumulative thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I actually, before I had the second one, all of a sudden, hit me in the back of the throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think this is one of those things where it's like, it's, debilitating heat. I think it's like a good warmth in your mouth.
If we weren't talking about these cookies and trying to tell people about them, I would have something inappropriate for you.
You don't like that comment?
No, I think it's fantastic. I would just take that in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I like these. The heat at the end. It's not burn your face off kind of heat, but again,
Sweet heat.
you can definitely tell that there's some pepper in there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So give it a shot. Especially, if you're from Saipan, you can get cookies at Joe 10. You can get cookies at the Hoffaday Bakery. You can get cookies from
Mickey D's got cookies over there.
But even like our Saipan's longest or oldest locally owned business, Herman's. You can get cookies there, but none
Those
of
cookies
them.
are good.
I love those things, but I've never had with anything like the Sweet Heat Snaps. Which, by the way, I only saw them for the first time today when I popped in there for gas.
Mm-hmm.
So I say give them a shot. And if you want to get more of them, and if you don't see them at the gas station, it's SaipanSnaps@gmail.com. SaipanSnaps, all one word, @gmail.com. And the number is 670-287-9395.
And these Sweet Heat ones kind of remind me of if you've ever had like a really strong ginger ale with that like kind of hard bite to it. In Georgia, they have a ginger ale called a Red Rock, and it's like you can't even drink a full 12 ounces of it because it's got so much ginger and it's like spicy ginger. They kind of remind me of that because I don't really notice that heat as a hot pepper heat. It just kind of blends in with that ginger flavor to me.
Nice. Well, now you see we've got Robby Glass in the background, our NHL expert.
He's just got a green shirt.
And he just has green shirt. Don't. Robbie Green is a great guy, but this is not him. This is Robby Glass. Glass. That's right, Glass.
IE versus Y.
Mm-hmm. This is good.
You know, hop up in here and tell me about some. Tell me about.
So we're gonna ask Robbie about some hockey stuff.
Some wet, cold water and some sticks.
Yeah.
Here he comes. Now, by the way, we have learned this is our first in studio guest. Now we've only had callers before, so this time we still only have 2 mics, but we're gonna have the right cable to have our 3rd and 4th mic in here later. So right now we're just doing a little switch up, but we're still new to this whole game, and we're gonna try and figure out this setup so we can actually sit back further, so we're not like all crunching up on this thing. All right, so Robbie, tell us a little bit about what's going on in the Stanley Cup right now.
Stanley Cup Finals. So Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Dallas Stars. They both had to get there through 3 grueling rounds of competition in the bubble. Now, the NHL did it very interestingly for their playoffs. They did 2 separate bubbles, one for the Eastern Conference and one for the Western Conference.
Really?
Yeah, so the Western Conference was in Edmonton, and the Eastern Conference was in Toronto. And once they moved to the conference finals, they moved it all over to Edmonton. And now we're here in the Stanley Cup Finals, still in Edmonton. No fans, and they're living in a hotel that's actually attached to the stadium, and everything is fenced off in downtown Edmonton where the Rogers Arena is. And, so they're living completely separated from everybody. They were supposed to be able to get their families in, and it seems like some players were able to get through the process and have some family there, some didn't. So that's been kind of a little controversy that's been going on in the NHL. 2 games down. The series is tied 1-1. The Dallas Stars took Game 1, defeating the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-1. And then Tampa Bay came back and won Game 2 3-2. And it's been a little bit of a back and forth series. Pretty even teams, a lot of elite level playing going on. And so Game 3's tomorrow, 10 a.m. Saipan time, which is very difficult living out here with it because it runs right into work hours. And
just take that early lunch.
Yeah, sometimes
early lunch.
Sometimes work requires you to do work. It's really crazy, you know. So you just gotta record it and not look, and then watch it on replay later. But so 7 Central. That's all I really know. I don't really understand the East and West Coast time differences. Makes no sense.
You know, the funny thing is,
Central.
I only know East Coast and West Coast time, and the other like flyover states don't matter. Or at least I never really figured it out. I know that the next one over is an hour difference. And that's like Chicago or something, right?
Yeah, it's Central.
Okay.
Yeah, Chicago Central.
Good job, Chicago.
So, should be a really good game, really good series, pretty evenly matched teams. We have the hottest goaltender in the league right now, and Anton Khudobin, the Kazakhstani Scorpion. It is the first time as well in the Stanley Cup Finals that 2 Russian goaltenders are starting.
Russian goaltenders.
And so it's really interesting, too, because this is 2 of the southernmost teams, not 2 of, right? The other third one's actually the Florida Panthers.
They can play year-round.
They didn't make it there. But as the two of the southernmost teams in the league playing in the north, in Canada, with no fans in the stands, fighting for the hardest trophy to win in all of sports, Lord's Stanley's Cup.
Is it the hardest trophy or just the heaviest?
No, it's definitely the hardest and the heaviest, actually, little-known fact. Weighing approximately 20 pounds. It's the hardest to win because unlike football, where you just play 1 game, you have to go through 4 rounds of 7-game series. And this year was a little bit different because they had the qualifiers as well. They brought 24 teams to the playoffs instead of the normal 16 teams. And they did a play-in round with a best of 5. and that finished out the seedings and everything for the more official tournament. That's what I'm going to call it. And so it's the hardest to win because it's very grueling. Like, it's 2 months straight of hockey, playing basically almost every other day. And hockey, like, again, kind of like football. There's a lot of heavy hits, a lot of
I watched
bruises.
Mighty Ducks.
There's right. So the flying V,
Yeah.
not even a thing. Not even a thing. Crazy, right?
It doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't use that strategy.
Yeah, I can't imagine why that wouldn't work with a guy just ramming over you right through the front because you've got the puck in your vicinity. So a little known fact about Mighty Ducks. If you watch it very closely, you will see 2 professional hockey players in there from
Wayne Gretzky's in one of them, right?
No. Mike Madonna's in it.
Oh, yeah, and he's in the Stars.
And he's in the
I
Stars,
remember
right?
that part.
He's part of the Minnesota North Stars at the time in their final season before they moved to Dallas.
Dallas should have got a different
And-
name.
And so the Dallas maintained the Stars
Another
name, and
Is
poor,
that why the
poor
Cowboys have a
Minnesota.
star on their helmet?
So that was part of the reasoning behind it, and they actually thought about changing the colors to blue and silver as well, so that all of the sports teams would be matched
Same,
up.
but different.
Yeah, so we're the only ones that are green in the Metroplex.
But don't the Mavericks have a little bit of green in there?
So it's blue, and then they added some green, but yeah, they're primarily blue and silver as well. Cowboys, and then the Rangers are kind of red and blue. A little more America colors.
All right, so how did you get into hockey as a Texas kid?
Yeah, so 1993, 1994 as a young lad of, I don't know, 8. I was really young. I remember watching the first game that they had because they advertised it a lot. It was actually on TV on a local broadcast station. By local broadcast station, I mean like super only
Jim's
Dallas.
Cable.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure it was on UHF at the time.
Nice.
And so I got to watch the first game. It was really interesting, but didn't really get into it until the playoffs. I believe it was 1996 playoffs. We were facing the Detroit Red Wings.
Back when they were good.
Yeah, and this was really big. And it was overtime in I think it was round 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, game 3. And a man by the name of Jamie Langenbrunner.
Jamie Langenbrunner.
Was he in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
You
Same
can
guy.
you can do the Jamie Langenbrunner workouts.
He took a shot from center ice that happened to bounce in, and it was one of the coolest things I had seen. It was really exciting because it's overtime, so
Is that
it's
not icing?
sudden death.
No.
Not if you score. Can't ice the puck when you score.
How do you know about icing?
So,
I played
well, you watched Mighty Ducks.
well, Mighty Ducks, and I also played NHL 94 on Sega Saturn.
There you go.
Oh, the Sega Saturn. That's really throwing it back.
This
So
focusing
since
is
then,
killing
I
me.
was really hooked. I was not allowed to stay up late for the games all the time, so I had to go to bed. And my dad would just tell me the next day whether we won or lost. It's a little less heartbreaking to hear it the next day when your team lost. But then, of course, 99 came around, and I was actually on a road trip, and I was in Iowa visiting some cousins when Game 6 of the Stanley
What
Cup.
kind of cousins?
Just regular cousins,
Not the
kissing
not the
cousins.
kissing
Yeah.
kind?
No, we're from Texas, not Arkansas. Very different.
Oh, okay.
And was staying at my cousin's house in Des Moines, Iowa. And it was Game 6, and I was trying to watch it. And I'll never forget that she was really upset about me trying to watch it and kept trying to block me from watching it. And I don't even remember why.
They just watch corn there.
Yeah, it wasn't corn growing on the TV. That must have been it. And so the game
A lot of stalkers.
the game went into triple overtime. And Brad will tell you a little more, I'm sure, about this. But where I was in Iowa, it was 1 a.m. I was in the attic, and I was sharing a room with my grandmother. I love my grandmother dearly. But I was sharing a room with her while we were both staying there.
Naked.
And of course, what else are you supposed to do? And it was 1 a.m., and I was watching the game on a little 13-inch TV.
13 inches.
TVs used to come that small. They also had a lot bigger back to them.
Yeah, a lot bigger.
Just there. And so, late at night, watching the game, there's a little pass a little guy named Brett Hull, who got possession of the puck.
In the crease.
Moved into the crease with possession of the puck,
No
which was totally
goal.
legal.
I hate this story.
Threw the puck past Dominic Hasek, who's probably one of the best goalies of all time. Actually, we'll give him a lot of credit for that. He almost single-handedly got them to the Stanley Cup Finals that year, and pushed the puck in and scored the Stanley Cup winning goal in 1999. Everybody went crazy. For 21 years now,
I was
Buffalo
at this
fans
game.
have
I was
debated
at
this,
that
and
game
we're so
behind that
upset.
net. And I could tell you, first of all, that was period number 6,
Yes.
right? And I was behind that net. Now I'm up probably about 12 rows behind the net.
Jeez, did you
Now-
pay like $800 for those tickets?
No, I got a great story about it. The girl who I was dating at that time got us free tickets. It's crazy. I don't know what she did for.
And
Yeah,
that's
but-
why. And that's why
but
you
she
lost
got,
right
but she
there.
got us. Hey, that's okay. No, actually, she's fantastic. But fantastic. Some of the best people. But it was amazing
got
that
some
she
good
got us
genes.
tickets like right behind there, right? So when the goal went in, of course we didn't see it that it was in the crease or anything like that. You have to have that overhead shot, but we like everybody else, even though we had to watch the Dallas Stars celebrate winning the Stanley Cup instead of our team in front of us, it was still such an amazing game that they played back and forth for essentially 2 games, right? It's a three period game, but they played for 6 periods, and it was toward the end of that 6th period. And we just had to stand up and applaud just for a hell of a game and all that other stuff. The no goal stuff really just came later. You know, we didn't talk about it because we were actually right there. But I did find some comfort knowing that a former Buffalo Sabre was on that team, Derek Plant, number 42 for the Dallas Stars. And he didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but he did get a championship under his belt.
And to a lot of credit to Buffalo, we actually got one of my favorite Stars players, Stu Barnes, came from that team.
Stu Barnes.
Incredible player. So he came to play for us a little bit later. And, if it makes you feel any better, in 2000, we made it back to the Stanley Cup Finals with an incredible goalie, Eddie Belfour. And he also single-handedly got us there. And then it was double overtime of Game 6 and playing the New Jersey Devils. And Jason Arnott just got free right in the crease, right above the crease, rather, and put one in and broke all of our hearts. And so I understand how that feeling goes. It sucks.
Now, you talked about one of the things that you liked about hockey and about the different things about it. One of the things that drew me into hockey, and I grew up playing hockey. I started playing when I was a little kid. I started skating when I was 4 and still suck. But I loved it because you have to master so many different things. It's not just like playing baseball, you got to hit a ball and run. Okay. You have to learn how to even move. You have to master skating in order to even play the game itself. Yeah. And then you learn about, passing, shooting, scoring, and all the other stuff. And then the tactics of how to move it around. One of the things that I didn't appreciate as much until I got older was how beautiful the game is and of the game. It's not just running a play and then it's over, then running a play and it's over. It's not like baseball where there's a pitch, you wait. There's a pitch, a hit. All right, then you wait. Or football, everybody lines up, beats each other up, lines up again, beat each other up. There is just a flow of hockey that is just amazing, and you can feel actual momentum going as throughout the whole action of the game, and you know that somebody's going to score. You just can feel it.
Yep.
And you can't really get that from all those other sports. I mean, you could tell if somebody's on the goal line and they got the ball. I mean, they got a pretty good chance. But with hockey, with it moving constantly,
they score from so many different places, right? Like soccer, generally you score from inside the box. I mean, that's generally the area. It's usually on a cross, whatever, somebody's heading it. But with hockey, it's like you'll see people score right as they're entering into a zone, right as they're getting really weird and bad angles, and they'll have shots that go in. So it's just really, I don't know, I really like that part about it. And it's been really interesting watching without any fans because I was wondering how the momentum was going to go in a game when you're sitting there and you don't have the fans cheering your side on, like moving them, right? But you still see the same ebbs and flows. It's just part of the game itself. And so you can just tell that there's just times where one team is just really pushing, and then sometimes they're going to get pushed back and they've got to defend. So
Well, one of those cool things about hockey is that when you're playing, after you score, maybe you can hear the fans. But when you're playing, when there's a lot of people around, you don't hear it as much. Maybe if you're on a rush or something like that. I haven't had a whole lot of opportunities to play in front of like tons of people. Just when I was in high school, we played some high level stuff, and there were like a lot of fans. Like we played where the Sabres play, and it was before the arena where they're playing now. It was the old Buffalo, the War Memorial Auditorium that they used to play in with the amazing stuff. And you don't hear it. You're just out there. You're insulated. You got that glass all around, and you just play glass all around.
Yeah, that's good.
But
it's not like we have green all around.
Yeah, but you don't have to feel all that stuff. So I think that even in an empty arena where maybe only your parents are cheering for you as a kid, you can still have a hell of a game. And I bet it's totally unaffected to the pros that are out there, except for when you score. You got all the lights, you got the booms, you hear people cheering and all that other stuff. Oh, and after a fight, your teammates being cheering for you has got to be big. But hearing the crowd go nuts, the home team, you just beat the crap out of some guy, now that's got to be awesome, right? You play it up to the fans. Rob Ray from Buffalo, he was a big fighter back in the day. And sadly, I think they're still fighting in the game, but it's not as prevalent.
It's not as prevalent in the game anymore. It's a much more skilled game. Speed and skill is really the name of the game now. You don't have
European game.
You don't have as many enforcers. The Darian Hatchers of the world. They just don't have as much of a place in the game.
They should. Darian Hatcher was just a brutal. And you did not want to go into the corner with that dude at all.
No, dude, he'd take you out. He's a very big, imposing guy.
He's a beast. Now, in fact, I'm curious. I've got to look this up real quick just to see what his
stats are. I don't know off the top of my head, but I've never played. Obviously, growing up in Texas, we didn't have hockey rinks really anywhere growing up. It wasn't until really the Stars came and won the cup and really started to grow the sport down there that finally people would open up, skating rinks for games and actually have practices and really do things. And little known fact that one of the
6'5", by the way, sorry to jump in, 6'5", 245 in the 90s. Now look, hockey is the last sport for middle-sized white boys, right? 6'5", 245, holy crap, dude was a friggin' truck. Like Eric Lindros, I think, was like 6'1" and like 210 or something like
small.
that. Yeah. But he was still a big guy for when he played. 6'5", 245, playing on the back line. You're trying to get you dump the puck in their zone. One of your teammates dumps the puck in the zone. You're supposed to crash the corners, but you got this friggin' Neanderthal, Darian Hatcher,
just lighting you up,
dragging his stick. There's like nails sticking out of like the blades. He's coming at you. 245, 6'5". That is just ridiculous.
That's 6'5" without skates.
That is monstrous. Well, at least the skates, they kind of even themselves out. When you're on skates, you're on skates. When you're wearing the equipment, you could feel a little sense of invulnerability while you're out there. But you don't feel invulnerability with 6'5", 245. The guy's got 4 teeth, and he's just coming at you but at least he shoots left. I'm a lefty. I'm a left shot.
Well, there you go.
I'm a right-handed guy, but I'm a left-handed shooter. I give him credit for that. All right. Good job, Darian Hatcher. I wonder how many goals he had. I'm guessing 50.
Like for his career or just in the playoffs?
Oh, he had more than 50. He had 80. That was close.
He wasn't a big point producer, really.
But I bet his penalty minutes. Oh, yeah, 1,581 penalty minutes. Oh.
Yeah.
So look at this.
I would bet about 1,000 of those are fighting minutes.
Oh, I bet. 93 to 94 season, he had 211. That's a pretty solid. Okay. By comparison, let's talk about an enforcer. Let's look at Ty Domi. Were you were saying you were like 8 years old when in 93, 94, right? So this guy was not a big guy. He was small, 5'8", 213. So this dude could ball, right? I mean, this guy was just solid. Look at his penalty minutes. 85, 86, 346 penalty minutes. Holy crap.
Okay, well,
347 was his record in 93, 94. That was
okay, and that's at least in the NHL. I was going to say that first one's from the WCHL, and back in the 80s with the minor leagues, all you did was fight.
365 for the Maple Leafs in 97, 98. Look at
That's
that.
some respectable.
306, and there's a ton. So he's got 2,000 more minutes career-wise than, well, if you take in his OHL days and stuff like that. So that's pretty high-level junior stuff. So, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's the highest of the minors for a lot of that. It's just.
Have you seen OHL hockey?
Like live?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Just-
man, I've
just
seen
highlights on TV.
Ontario Hockey League. It's really great stuff. And those guys who are playing over there are definitely going places. So
AHL is about the highest I've seen as far as minors go. It's because Texas has the offshoot team.
yeah, we do too. So about an hour and a half away from us is Rochester. So you
Yeah.
got the Rochester Americans. We call them the Amerks. And they're the farm club for the Sabres. So it's really easy for them to drive if they get called up. So you got those kind of guys who are slugging away, but still 5'8" and 213. Dude's a little fire
I mean,
plug.
I'm
Have you-
5'7".
Yeah.
And,
How many do you
and
weigh?
Yeah, like 185. I'm like a $185. So he's just slightly taller, but a lot beefier than I am.
Dude was all muscle, and all he did. Oh, here's Rob Ray, 6 foot 220. This is the guy. They made a whole rule about this guy. He played for the Buffalo Sabres. And you could see he played for some other teams later in his career, but that doesn't really count. He was a Buffalo Sabres guy. So he had 3,200 penalty minutes, and just about all of them got to be fighting. First of all, fun fact, Rob Ray, enforcer and everything, first shot in the NHL, goal. Awesome. Now, they made a whole rule about this guy. So he was a fighter, and he found out that, well, when you're fighting a guy, what you want to do, you want to pull his jersey over, and then you could just pound the crap out of him, right? He can't do anything because he's trapped by his long sleeves and all that. So he made his shoulder and his elbow pads and his jersey all one thing. So if he's going to fight a guy, not only does he knock off his helmet, he takes it off. And all that crap comes off, so he's totally clean. And so that guy can't grab onto anything, so he just pounds the crap out of that, pull him in, and just that guy, because he can grab his jersey and just pull him in, and just.
He was just shirtless?
So he had an undershirt on.
Oh, right.
But he was free. The
It's
Rob
free of all
Ray
his
rule.
pads and everything.
Yeah, it was free of all that stuff. All encumbrances are gone, and the guy could not pull his jersey over him.
So what they started to do with jerseys after a lot of that, though, is they started putting bottoms that would snap into your gear, so guys couldn't pull it off over you anymore.
Yeah, so it's
and now they just grab. Now it's just grabbing the jersey. And they don't let
such
them
a
do all of that.
crappy rule. But the Rob Ray rule, though, is that you can't do that stuff anymore. You can't. You throw your gloves off and you can fight, but you can't take off your elbow pads and your shoulder. You can't strip before you fight. And so that is it. They got the snaps on there, so you can't pull off the other guy's stuff. But so now you actually got to fight.
It's much better than the Sean Avery rule, where you can't stand in front of the goaltender and put your hand up like this, block it, like facing him. Like what a douche.
It works.
He played for us for a bit. I think 3 or 4 games, and then he made fun of somebody's girlfriend, and we kicked him off the team, which was
For making fun of someone's girlfriend?
Wow.
yeah. I mean, he was. I think there's probably more going on behind the scenes, but that was the official.
I imagine
Maybe
there was
he made
more.
fun of her after he had a good night on the town with her.
What's really interesting about the NHL is they're really good at kind of bottling stuff up and keeping stuff under wraps. The NFL does a pretty good job of it too.
Manly,
But- But this year, so the Stars lost their coach in December to unprofessional conduct, something related to his alcoholism. So Jim Montgomery was our coach. Was doing a really good job. Everybody really liked him. But then just mysteriously one day got fired just for unprofessional conduct. Found out later he had checked himself into rehab, which is the only reason why anybody knows that it's alcohol-related things. And that's when Rick Bowness took over, who's the longest-serving NHL coach in history. I don't know
Hey,
if it's in history.
speaking
I
of
like to just say
alcohol-related things, could you get me another one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
need more beer for this. And he is now, obviously coached the Stars to the Stanley Cup playoff, and is the first time that a head coach and an assistant coach are facing off as head coaches in the Stanley Cup final.
Thank you.
So
Wow.
he used to be an assistant coach to John Cooper, who's the head coach of the Lightning. But Bowness is known for coming in and kind of being the assistant coach now to help new coaches kind of learn the NHL. So he did that for John Cooper. up until I think 2015 or 16, and then came on board with us. And he's been with us a few years, but now he's our head coach after everything went down, and it's been good.
So, interesting thing. We're talking about hockey, and we're living on this tiny little island in the middle of the Pacific. And we say tiny. It's actually a good size. It's about 15 miles north to south, and maybe about 4 miles at the widest. It's really closer to 3. But we've got about 50,000 people here, and it's great. And the culture here is amazing. But you wouldn't think that hockey is a big thing. So let's take a look at a couple of things, though. The Stanley Cup. This is the Stanley Cup.
I see it.
That is something, right? Now, the Stanley Cup is each one of these little deals here. You can see my little cursor there. That's a whole team that won the Stanley Cup that year. So it started off as just a small little trophy, and then each ring that got added was added to accommodate the new teams that won. So when you win this championship, your name gets engraved onto this trophy. It is a trophy that it's got so much meaning, so much history, and it's the thing that you want to win. It's not just that little football trophy.
Are they still adding people's names to it?
Yeah, every year.
Absolutely. So if you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, you'll see all that stuff, but you'll see the other ones. Like it doesn't keep getting longer forever. But, they end up having to change it.
So what they now do, so the big ring, the first top big ring, right? So there's 1, 2, 3 smaller rings, and there's the big one.
Mm-hmm.
So they remove that one, and they'll add a new ring at the bottom that's blank before they add the names, and then they'll put the new names in.
Well, if you look at it there, you can see
Yeah, you can see that one's
it's blank. So that was the 2000. So this
1450.
Yeah, this is after 2014, 2015 teams.
And so what they do, though, is once they've taken the ring off of that one, they move it to the one that's at the Hockey Hall of Fame for displaying. And supposedly, there's at least 2 Stanley Cups, because there's the one on display, and then there's the original one that everybody gets. And I've also heard rumors there's actually a third one.
I've heard that too.
Because when the Stars won, Eddie Belfour was celebrating, and with Pantera, if you know who Pantera is, they wrote our theme song called Puck Off.
Oh.
Yeah. And so they were celebrating at Pantera's house, and Eddie Belfour, being the party animal he is, held the Stanley Cup over his head and was celebrating, and it slipped. I think he probably threw it because...
Yeah, Pantera!
And hit the side of the pool and put a huge dent in it, and they weren't able to really fix it, so they ended up creating another cup. So that's the rumor. It's definitively known that he did dent the cup, but it's a rumor that they made a new one for it instead of just fixing it.
So it's because the Buffalo Sabres made it to the Stanley Cup in 1999 that I was able to see it, right? So I was able to see the cup because they bring the cup to the city. And then they've got minders, but before, like when you're walking into the stadium, you can actually see it. So I'll just pull that up again so everybody could see it. You get a real close look. You can see how they've got the individual team names and player names for all these. And there's greats in here. Look at all the scratches and everything. And now one of the cool things is if you win the Stanley Cup, you get the cup for one day. Each player on the team gets the cup for a day. Now, there's keepers of the cup, and these people they wear white cotton gloves, and they never touch it, and they make sure that it's all safe, so when they deliver it. But you could do anything, and so one of the players, I can't remember which player, used it as I love it. You've seen it. They used the Stanley Cup as a Jell-O mold. And they made a mold out of the Jell-O up on the top cup part. And that they had to put it in the refrigerator and do all that other stuff. People have consumed all kinds of beverages out of the cup. I mean, that is just
they definitely
what happens.
drink beer out of it. The tradition is the night you win it, you drink, everybody pours champagne and beer or whatever in it, and you drink out of it.
In the locker room and then wherever you guys go after.
People when they have their day with a cup have eaten cereal out of it. They've put their newborn babies in it to take pictures. I'm sure there's all sorts of gross things that have probably
I was about to say, I'm waiting for the good stories.
So earlier this year,
we'll get to that because I want to see that in a second. But before we do, I was talking about like how we live on this island and how we're talking about hockey and everything, and that it seems like it should be so foreign. But okay, let's go back again. Here is the Stanley Cup. That is the trophy that everybody wants to win if you're in the National Hockey League and you're playing. But one of the cultural icons that we have out here is kind of similar to the Stanley Cup. This is the Laddie Stone. Now these are kind of skinny looking based.
Those look
Laddie
like they're
Stone.
from Guam.
These are serious Guam Laddie Stones, and that's not just because you're looking at the Wikipedia page, but
It actually wasn't. I just guessed that it was from Guam. They have more of them set up in parks like that than we do.
they certainly do. But ours, the ones that we have, are pretty legit, and especially like the ones over in Tinian.
They're too legit to quit.
Hey. Yep. But it makes me wonder, did the ancient Chamorros know about hockey?
They probably did. They actually were probably time travelers.
Ooh. They do. They did follow the stars. Well, I know.
Hey-o.
Oh, stars and stones. Oh, my goodness. And these are massive. I didn't see. This is actually, it says Guam, Gumataga ruins. So this is like pre-1992. I'll go over here. Just give you.
Are those the ones from Tinian?
Look how massive those things are. Yeah. Well, it would look like it, but look at all those trees back there. I mean.
Yeah, but trees can come and go.
It says the House of
Lottie
Taga
sends it
on
forever.
Tinian. See down in the bottom? This is 1902. Right now, there's only one of these that's still standing. So that's due to seismic events and everything. So there's only one of them. Anyhow, it is pretty neat, and it's possible. It's
possible.
It's possible.
You're saying there's a chance.
Well, I mean, look at it right there, and there's Stanley Cup. The Stones, the Cup. The Stones, the Cup. It's possible. That's all I'm saying.
Could be.
It's possible. Okay, so go back into the story because I saw you showed me a couple of pictures that are.
Yeah, so earlier this year, every January 1st, the NHL hosts the Winter Classic, which is an outdoor game to try to go back to the roots of hockey. Speaking of the roots of hockey, right? Ancient Chamorro, Taga Stones.
Yeah, that's where the roots are.
That would
they,
be
they need to
outdoors
have
also.
it here next year.
And so we got to go to the Winter Classic in Dallas this year, and they had the cup on display. So I got to go see the cup.
We might
See if we
actually
get the glare off.
Is it on your internet?
No.
Oh, you
Posted
didn't?
it.
How
No,
did you
it's
not post
yeah,
that?
It's not on the internet.
Yeah,
It's not my.
we were gonna use the.
It's not my favorite picture.
Oh,
Really?
I look really awkward in it.
that's how you normally look.
Yeah, so that's how I normally look.
I mean, here's a picture of you. You're not worried about this? That's a great looking picture. In fact, I think you're wearing the same shirt that you're wearing today.
Yeah, you do.
And this is one of those rare times that you're not wearing a hat. Oh my
It might
goodness.
have been. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have a hat on. I'm not,
Yeah, you do look kind of weird.
I can
It's
tell you a
probably
funny
'cause-
story about that game too. So
Okay.
so my wife, she was just my fiance at the
Let's
time of
say.
that, but
My wife.
my wife now.
My wife, very nice.
We she'd never been to a hockey game, obviously having grown up here,
That's
and
weird.
so I got to take her to her first hockey game. And she liked it so much that she wanted to go again. And I had to make sure that she told the family that she wanted to go again because they would never believe me if I said that she wanted to go again. They would just understand it was because I wanted to. So I found us some tickets, and we went to this game against the Colorado Avalanche, and we won in the shootout, which was really exciting because I'd actually never seen a shootout in a live game.
That was the first game you took her to?
That was the second game we
Okay.
went to. And then we went to the Winter Classic, was the third. And so we enjoyed and we were celebrating, obviously, as you can see from that picture. And we were ecstatic and got back to the car and were trying to leave. And that's when Mabby realized that she'd forgotten her purse.
No.
And, you know, her purse had, like, her passport and all the important documents and things. So I was like,
Kind of
okay, it's
important.
fine. Like, we can go back to the seats and go look for it, right? Now, of course, they lock up the building, right? Like, after the game, they get everybody out, and then they start to clean it. Just so happened that somebody was exiting out of one of the doors as we were walking in, so we were able to
get
sneak
right back
in.
in.
And we went back to our seats, and, of course, no purse.
Yep.
And so that was like, oh, man. So started asking around to some people that looked like they worked there, and nobody was like, had any idea of anything. Finally found a security guard and was like, hey, you know, like my wife or my fiance lost her purse. You know, you have a lost and found. Can we go look at it? And he's like, yeah, just follow me. So we start to follow him, and he takes us down the tunnel that is where the players and things enter. and down in the tunnel was Jere Lehtinen.
Yeah, Gary Lettinen.
Jere
Not
Lehtinen is
Gary.
a freaking, hero. Yeah, not Gary.
He said
Gary.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, Gary. Yeah, that's
Gary
his English.
Lettinen. Yeah,
That's his English name.
Gary
Gary
Lettinen's
Lettinen.
brother, Gary.
Yeah.
He's also got a
So
brother,
Jere
Larry.
Lehtinen was down there, and of course I just started fanboying because I, really, really like Jere Lehtinen and everything he did for the Stars. And so I started to go to try to say hi to him, and the individual security guard that was walking us there was like, "Hey, you got to come on." I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna."
No, dude.
So I just kind of said hi real quick and then walked away. But I did get to meet Jere Lehtinen that night. It was a lot of fun. And
That's
only
awesome.
happened because my wife left her purse in the seat. So, if you ever go to a sporting event, leave your purse in the seat, and you never know
Yeah.
who you might meet.
No, I got better stories for you. That is awesome. So growing up as a kid playing hockey, you've got friends who are on all kinds of different levels of hockey and stuff. So one of the parents of one of the kids that my dad coached and my brother and sister played with, their dad worked for the NHL, and he was one of those guys who would be behind the net and do the goal scoring.
buzzer, yeah.
Or he'd be the guy working the penalty box, or he'd be the guy working the press box. Mr. Olnichek, Hank Olnichek, he worked for the NHL. He got us into the press box to watch the games. Not all the games, but he would let us up if we went up there, if we happened to be up there. And that's how I met Gordie Howe. At the old Odd,
Wow.
I'm walking to go up into the press box, and walking out of the press box is Gordie Howe and his wife. And I just look at him, I'm like, wow. And he's
Like Gordon
Hey.
Bombay.
you all right, kid? And I'm like,
Yeah, but how do you get to Gordon Bombay?
I'm like, you're Gordie Howe. He's like, no, I'm not. And his wife hits him, Gordie. He's like, all right. And I'm like, what do I have? I'm like, all I have is this stupid popcorn box. So I asked him if he could sign it, and he did, and that was it. So I'm just this
And do
little
you
kid.
still have the popcorn box?
I do. No, I definitely do not. I mean, that was like
For people like Trey that don't know much about hockey, Gordie Howe not only is one of the most famous players and one of the best players to play the game, but he has a hat trick named after him called the Gordie Howe hat trick. And you get that for scoring a goal, getting an assist, and most importantly, getting into a fight during the game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
he was also a hell of a fighter. I mean,
Yeah.
And he played. I think he played in 5 decades. Is that what it is? He played in like maybe it was 3 decades because 5 seems like an awful lot. But I think he played up until he was like 50 or something like that because he ended up playing even for the Whalers in the WHL and with his kids and everything. So
Wow.
this dude was like he is.
Oh, yeah, he did. He played with one of his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Hockey is Gordie Howe. So that's one thing. I skated on the ice down there when we had like, all kinds of goofy stuff. But like in between the periods and all that stuff, like we played one of those little kid hockey games.
Get pregnant, Finn. Watch out.
You got to look out for that. Also, for my brother's birthday, we got Sabres tickets, but I bought him Molson. You call the game. Molson's a beer, right?
Oh, I know what Molson is.
Really, you do?
Yeah.
From Georgia, you know Molson?
It's Canadian for beer.
Yes. All right. So
Is that like
what they
Foster's?
did, hanging
That's
from
Australian.
the rafters is the press box, right? So the whole press box is here, but they had one other booth set up over there, and if you pay $100, they'll give you headsets, they'll give you the full game stats and everything, and you call the game. They're going to give you the full TV coverage, and then when they break away for commercials or they break away to go to the announcers, they're actually going to you as you're calling the game with the headset, talking with whoever you're doing. So it was my brother, John Costello, and myself, so we ended up calling the game, doing that for one of those things. I don't think they do that kind of stuff anymore, but it was a hell of an experience. Oh, and then they give you a tape of it.
Was this pre-Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction? Because I feel like that's what changed all the FCC rules to not allow that kind of
This
stuff.
doesn't go on TV. This is just, they give you a personal,
But it only costs $100?
back then, yeah.
Wow.
It's like, oh, back when I was your boy, candy bars only cost a nickel. You know, it was like that kind of thing. So it was great. I mean, like, the cheap seats then were probably like less than $10
Yeah.
to go and watch a hockey game, which is unthinkable now. I mean, actually, maybe not so unthinkable now because you can get them pretty cheap.
Well, now no one can go see him right now because there's no fans. So they're either going to be really expensive or really cheap, depending on.
Well, when they come back, they'll
They're
be,
gonna be
they'll be
super
pretty good.
expensive.
Well, so that was the update. Game 3 tomorrow. Let's go Stars. I really need to win. So that way we can win games 4 and 5 as well and finish this out, and I can celebrate at home.
Oh, it's the bench. That's why I can't move this seat back anymore. Well,
Yeah, you got to hop over the bench, you know.
Yep. So there's we're breaking new ground. We're breaking new ground on the podcast tonight. First of all, I will say that without a doubt, this is the latest live podcast that we had. We got a late start, but we haven't gone. We're creeping toward 10 o'clock p.m. I mean, this is a school night.
It is a school night.
And I know that we can't keep this thing going for too much longer. Also, you know, our first in-studio guest, Mr. Robby Glass, not green. How awesome is that? It is awesome to have
Thanks
you
for
out
having
here.
me. Really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the last update. So probably sometime next week, and hopefully coming and celebrating.
Yeah,
That's way better than the alternative.
We'll definitely have you back in, and then you know, even if you can't make it out here, and hopefully you can all the time, you know, we can always do the call. We can even do video calls. We can have you on here for video.
One day, I think we're gonna have to do Meet Your Robbies.
Yes,
Have to do a Robby off.
Robby Green,
Yeah.
Robby Glass.
I don't think Robbie Shore's on island right now, so we're out of Robbie.
We can even bring Rob Jordan.
Oh yeah, we could.
Yeah, he's
we
not
could
a
do
Robbie. though.
Robs and
I don't know if he
Robbies.
was ever a Robbie, but
It takes a special kind of person to be a Robby.
I think so. I think
To not
there's-
just adopt the Rob moniker.
there's all kinds of different languages you gotta learn to be a Robbie. You've got to learn the Torah. I mean, to be a Robbie is very difficult.
It's true.
It's true.
Sure enough.
So,
Show enough.
so
Show
priest, the
enough.
Robbie, and whatever they walk into a bar. So I think that's about it. I mean, do you guys got anything else for tonight?
Nah, I think that was
that's a good wrap up.
that was exciting. A lot of cold weather sports and other stuff. Good. I have a lot of great things to say.
Well, I think we need to. Next time we do this, we're going to have the other microphone ready so that we can get all the background comments. At least we got all the headphones together so we can all hear what was going on. But it was an interesting experience for us trying to work this stuff out. And hopefully we'll do a better job next time. But thanks for watching us, whether you watch this live or you're watching this after the fact. We had a lot of fun doing it today. I think so. Did you guys have fun?
It was
I did
good.
too. All right, so you guys, Arguably Decent Podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Maybe next time I'll look at the right camera.